Hello, everyone. I'm Jonathan Little here with the Johnny Betancourt. We're here with the inaugural
Degeneracy podcast.
All right. First things first. What got us into NFTs? You go first because you got into NFTs before me.
All right. So who are we? Why should you even listen to us? By the way, P.S. Don't listen to us. We don't know what we're talking about.
This is not financial advice. This is for fun.
Right. Exactly. And we'll have those disclaimers all professionally laid out for the second episode. But for the first episode, what you should know about us is I was a startup founder for many years making an education company. Jonathan has been a very successful poker player and owns pokercoaching.com. So there's a lot of interesting ways that we can teach people about things through those mediums. And now this podcast is a way for us to share some of our insights over the years and months that we've learned about NFTs. So I got into NFTs January 2011, 2021.
You were early.
No, that would have been really early. January 2021. And I got in through CryptoPunks. I just saw CryptoPunks and I saw them pumping and I was like, I'm missing out on this. And I FOMO bought into a CryptoPunk in late January 2021. Turned out to be a good idea. And Jonathan was my good friend. We had worked together before. And eventually in May 2021, I got Jonathan into to attend the Christie's auction of the CryptoPunks. They were selling for a batch of 9 CryptoPunks for $20 million. So you can kind of see a picture of us at the event. Some pictures of the venue that we were at. And
who's this girl?
That is my girlfriend, Karen.
Oh, shout out, Karen.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we decided to go to that event. And after that, what did you do? Like when you went home after that event?
I went home and before I even sobered up, I bought 2 CryptoPunks that night. I was in.
He snap bought all the punks.
If I tell someone I'm going to do something, I do it. And look, it was an amazing experience with a lot of great, fun people. It was a great vibe. And it was a great community. And I don't really love the word community because a lot of communities are not very good in this space today, a year and a half later. But that community was great. And I'm in. So I was in, and I've been in since.
Yep. And you could just tell there was a lot of like new energy of like new ideas. Obviously, everyone's NFTs had pumped like 10x at that event. So
That's why they were happy?
Everyone had a good reason to be happy around that time. But you could tell there were new ideas, a lot of like cross-pollinating of different ways to apply this new technology. And since then, Jonathan has aped in like even harder to NFTs than I have. But as you can see, there's other pictures of us like attending different NFTs events. So at the top right corner, there's a picture of us with Pop Wonder. Shout out to Pop. He's amazing.
Hi, Pop.
Jonathan and I have recorded some content together, more in like the poker space. And then these pictures in the middle actually have to do with Jonathan's NFT projects, which, by the way, you may, hopefully if you're watching this, you already know about Degeneracy, but you may not know about that first picture. What's that first picture on the top, Jonathan?
This is called The Real Las Vegas, where I took photos around downtown Las Vegas over the course of, I don't know, maybe a week and a half, something like that. I went down there every day, took photos of fun stuff that I saw. I think this one's something about art blocks. It's
called art blocks, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, that's smart. And it's called art blocks. This is a fun one where there were actually 2 buildings next to each other, and they had these fun pieces of art. And art blocks was pumping back then, it's pumping today. And I took pictures of these buildings. I took pictures of all sorts of stuff downtown, whatever I saw. I did my best to interact with people, have fun, tell them about NFTs, tell them about crypto. And it was a good time. So anyway, check out The Real Las Vegas. Those were my actual first attempt at NFTs. They sold out in about a day and a half. We had 88 of them for 0.0888 ETH. We had a little bit of utility. Everyone who has those has 0.1% of my main events. Last year, this year, and next year. So far, we're 0 for X. Good job. And also, we have a party every year in Las Vegas. I owe them another party next year, I think. Do I owe you a party next year? I think I agreed to one party. Whatever. You can come to a party next year.
He'll probably throw another party and invite you.
Yeah.
If you buy it.
Also on OpenSea, they have unlockable content. And in the unlockable content, I hid some stuff like send me an email to this email address and I will send you this NFT that I have that I think is fun and cool. or send me an email and I'll give you an hour of private poker coaching, or you get a membership to my training site, or whatever. So that was my first attempt at NFTs, and it went well. Sold out in a day and a half, like I said, right? I'm not a photographer. I don't know what I'm doing, but I took photos of downtown Las Vegas, and I thought they were cool. To be fair, downtown Las Vegas makes photos easy because everything is bright and pretty and colorful. You can't really go that wrong. And that was my first attempt. And then we made Deck of Degeneracy. I made Deck of Degeneracy.
I just bought it. Like, he told me, hey, buy these NFTs. They're going to moon. And he was right. I wanted to say, before you move on to DOD, one of the unique insights that I think Jonathan had early on that might have been even earlier than other projects and a legacy for DOD was just this idea of having embedded utility in your project. Because, like, these are pictures of Las Vegas that you took with an iPhone, right? Like, this is
nothing fancy.
This is not the craziest art in the world, right? If it was just based on the value of the picture, you know, it's to each their own. But Jonathan realized early on, he's a gambler, and he's like, how can I make this positive EV? And he started embedding all this utility into these cards, and whoever bought it at 0.088 is way up.
Yeah, so currently the floor is like 0.25 or something.
Exactly.
Plus, you've gotten to come to 2 parties. You've had a sprinkle of my main event action, which is worth 0. I will say that I stole this idea. I borrowed the idea.
You borrowed.
From Gary Vaynerchuk, because he made VFriends. VFriends are, for all practical purposes, a bunch of tickets. They have art. The art's okay. Call it. You think it's great?
No.
Oh, okay. So he has some art. The art is okay.
The art is just okay.
But there's a lot of utility. The utility is you get to go to his conference every year, plus maybe other stuff. And I went to the conference with Johnny, funny enough, and it was I had fun. You had fun?
It was a great time.
It was a great time. And he's going to do it for the next 3 years, he guaranteed. Well, next 2 years. Last year and the next 2 years. And it was a ticket. And I've always viewed, at the end of the day, the thing that I can provide to all of you is a ticket to something. Then it's up to me to provide you something that you'll have fun with.
Exactly.
And the real Las Vegas was my first attempt at providing all of you a little something, just a test, just a sprinkle. I'm a big fan of testing stuff. If it fails, I want to fail easy. If I don't want to say I'm doing this for my entire life, and then if it fails, I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah. You were taking an educated bet. You
Yeah.
thought it, that has a chance of working, and you're putting in a good amount of work. And the underlying concept was sound, which is, hey, people are going to buy this ticket, and they're going to get access to experiences that they otherwise would not have access to.
That's exactly
Party
right.
in Las Vegas. Part of my main event action. He doesn't sell his main event action. Like, he holds on to that.
I want to buy more.
So, exactly. So, like, getting these access to this awesome stuff. And then that is the perfect segue into Deck of Degeneracy, which was your more established, hey, V2 version of an NFT project, which is, hey, I'm going to work with an amazing artist. I'm going to...
Wes Henry. Hello, Wes.
Hey, Wes. Yeah. Got to meet him at the DOD party.
There you go.
And yeah, it's been a huge success. And for those people that don't know, you could have bought a Deck of Degeneracy earlier this year for 0.1 ETH. And right now the floor is 0.35. And that's not the only way to judge a project, but it is one way to judge. And it seems like the bets that you're taking have been working out.
I try to add value. There's a lot of value in adding value. If you pay me $100 and I give you $200 back, you're probably going to like me okay.
Yeah.
I've learned this a long time ago from pokercoaching.com, my training site, where people pay me. I teach them to get better at poker. They make way more money than they pay me each month. They stay signed up. I add a lot of value. They make more money than they pay me, and we're all happy. And with NFTs, I view it similarly enough to some extent. And so the Deck of Degeneracy cards have provided pieces of my tournament action, pieces of other very good players' tournament action. I buy all of this at a good deal, and like in bulk essentially, because I'm buying a lot. And so far we're up, 20, 30% on the poker tournament action we bought. Also, I like NFT art, for those who do not know. And
We're going to get to that.
We're going to get to that. And so artists whose art that I buy often will make a piece that we give away to 54 Deck of Degeneracy holders, which is 1/54th of Deck of Degeneracy holders. And those have value, right? Also, I've had poker tournament free rolls. So far, I think we've given away 8 ETH in poker tournament free rolls. We're going to do another one in a week or two. I haven't even announced it yet. There you go. Some alpha for all of you. We're having a poker tournament in a few weeks. And What was the other thing? Oh, parties. We've had some parties. We had a sick party in New York. You missed it. You're a loser.
I was in the Bahamas.
You suck, bro. So we had a sick party. Pop Wonder was there. We had a sick party in New York with a bunch of artists where we went to the Super Rare Gallery. Their art was on the walls. It was amazing. Awesome. And then we went to my favorite show, Sleep No More, which is not a regular show. It's a weird artsy show. If you like art, you'll love this show.
I missed that one.
So I took a bunch of artists, and they loved it. And then we went to their rooftop restaurant/bar. We rented out a section there. We had about 50 people there total, 40 Degeneracy holders, 40 super rare artists, 40 artists in general. Or I'm sorry, what am I saying? 40 Degeneracy holders, 10 artists, and it was a lot of fun for everybody, and it was great. So
it was.
That's something we're providing. We're going to continue providing. I'm going to do my best to continue it. So anyway, that's that.
And what I would say as a segue to the next slide, as you notice, this podcast has a slideshow format with this like fancy overlay because we actually care about delivering value. We want to make sure we're not just like spouting off for 30 minutes. We want to make sure that we're like sharing some alpha that maybe you haven't heard before. So we are going to be moving to the next slide.
Slow down. In terms of alpha, people are going to watch this later.
Sure.
And that is a problem when it comes to alpha because people want to know what is the hot buy right this second. And I don't know.
They should watch it tonight.
Yeah, you should watch it tonight, exactly. Well, you're going to watch this in a day or two or the next day, and I don't know. So we don't have a pick of the day, a pick of the week.
No.
We are not trying to give you financial advice. We're trying to set you up for the long term so that you know what to look for when it presents itself. You take what the situation gives you, and I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow or the next day or the next day. For example, yesterday, Tiffany's announced they have CryptoPunk pendants. I didn't know that was going to happen. We're going to talk about it a little bit later, but like kind of throws a curveball in things, and now you have to analyze that, and we're going to analyze it later. And I don't know what's going to happen the next day or the next day, right? So the idea of tell me what to buy, when buy. I don't know when to buy. I don't know what to buy. We're just going to talk about things that are cool to us.
Yep. And okay? share how we think about NFTs in general.
There you go. All right. So there are going to be 3 segments of the show initially. We may change. First, what have we been buying recently? We're going to talk about stuff we've been buying. We already bought it. I want to make that very clear, I presume. I've already bought the stuff I'm talking about. He probably already bought the stuff he's talking about. Then we're going to talk about we'll call it a strategy segment. We're going to talk about something presumably educational, things we think that you all could benefit from. This may have to deal with security. Today we're going to talk about what we look for in a mint. I don't know where we're going to go. We'll figure it out. And then we will talk about things we want to highlight, whether we are thinking about it, things we've already bought recently, whatever. That's the format of the show. So let's get to it. Things JL is me, Jonathan Little, has bought recently are rare Pepes. Oh my God.
You went all in.
I was very hesitant to get into rare Pepes, and I'll tell you why. Because they are Bitcoin NFTs. All of my NFTs, I have many thousands, have all been on Ethereum. I've not got into Tezos NFTs. I've not got into Solana NFTs. I've not got into Bitcoin NFTs because I realize focus is a very scarce resource that I have. I have almost no focus/attention to give. And I was very hesitant to get into Bitcoin NFTs. But recently, the art has been too good to ignore. Vincent Van Gogh, who I've chatted with a few times on Twitter, he's the whale of whales. He curated the newest season of fake rares. All right, what in the world is a fake rare? Okay, there was an initial run of rare Pepes in 2016. As you see here, we have God Emperor Daddy Musk. This is the first rare Pepe featuring Elon Musk. The first Elon Musk NFT, as far as anybody knows, I think. I could be wrong about this. First NFT, as far as I know, of Elon Musk from 2016. What is that? 6 years ago. Oh my God.
Wow, that's ancient in the NFT world.
You ever seen those GIFs of those people who are like dead and they've been NFTs for 3 months? Well,
yeah.
Well, this was from 6 years ago. Here's God Daddy Elon Musk, or God Emperor Daddy Musk. When I get excited, I can't read. Okay, this was from 2016. And I have talked to a guy named Brian Micon for the last few years about rare Pepes, and I never really got into it. A long time ago, Brian Micon had a poker site called Seals with Clubs, and he was doing everything he could to give people a Bitcoin or 5 Bitcoin, depending on how much he liked you, to play on his site for free. Take 5 Bitcoin, gamble, have fun. That's when Bitcoin was worth about $5 a pop.
I wish I knew Brian back then.
Whenever Brian told me that, I remember we were sitting in the Fontana Lounge at Bellagio. Shout out to Bellagio and Fontana Lounge. And I'm like, get out of here with your 5 Bitcoin. I don't need your 5 Bitcoin. Play money. And that was a mistake. And now Brian Micon is the king of rare Pepes. And I've heard him talk about rare Pepes a few times on various podcast shows, etc. And that was one data point of, hey, you should probably pay attention to this because I think he's sharp. And then I see Vincent Van Gogh last year talking about rare Pepes. I'm like, oh, maybe I should pay attention. But I was busy and I didn't do it. This year, Vincent Van Gogh was the boss. He curated it. He made amazing art. We're about to show you some of it. And I'm like, all right, I should probably actually figure this out. And a few artists whose pieces of art I have bought made rare Pepes. And they were going to give it to me for free if I would just set up a wallet.
Wow.
Because I'm that big of a whale. I'm like, well, I better figure this out. So, here's God, Emperor, Daddy Musk. We got a God, Emperor, Daddy Musk. Would you all believe that I've actually met Elon Musk one time at a party with Jason Calacanis, our friend? And it was a lot of fun. I thanked him for sending our children to Mars when he does it. He said, you're welcome.
Does he know about his rare Pepe card? That should be the next conversation.
You know, Elon, if you're here watching this, or anybody who knows Elon watching this, you're popular in this space. I know you've already embraced the Bitcoin, then you shunned the Bitcoin, then you embrace the Bitcoin. I don't really know what's going on. But you should embrace the Pepes. All right, next we have Mew Pepe. Do you know anything about Pokemon?
I'm not really a Pokemon guy.
Fine. Well, my kids are. The Mewtwo card is rare / valuable. There's a few exceptionally rare ones. And the Japanese ones are exceptionally rare. This I don't even know what this is. That's pretty, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's
got, like some
cool.
Hieroglyphics going on.
It does have hieroglyphics going. A Pepe so rare it is said to be a mirage by many scientists. By Lenny. Lenny has made a bunch of other rare Pepes.
So wait, so is this a rare Pepe or a fake rare?
This is a fake rare Pepe.
Okay, because you didn't talk about the distinction between them.
Let's go back to Goddaddy. Oh, no, we'll stay here. Okay. Rare Pepes were made from 2016 to 2018. As far as I know, I could be wrong. There's a wiki on Pepe, Pepe.wtf. Pepe.wtf.
That's like
there's a wiki. Site. Go there and read it. And rare Pepes from 2016 to 2018, if I have good recollection, which I probably don't. And then they were done. Pack it up. That's it. But then people realized, or the people still submitted Pepes. We weren't done yet. We have a lot of memes. What are Pepes? Pepe is a frog. I don't even have a picture of the frog here. What a oversight. And Pepe is all about feel good, man. Some people view the Pepe as a political thing. Some people have taken Pepe and used Pepe incorrectly, pertaining to what the artist feels like. There's an artist named Matt Fury.
Yep.
He made Pepes. He made a series called Pegs. I have a decent amount of Pegs. You have some?
I have a Peg.
You have a Peg. And Pepe is all about feel good, man. Love spreading the joy. And so, Pepe is a frog. Pepe is a cute guy. He just wants to be happy. He just wants to be happy and feel good. And that's what Pepe is about. So, what were we talking about? Where'd we go?
Well, just like fake rares basically came out after rare Pepes. And right now, when we mentioned Vincent Van Gogh, he curated the 8th series of... Was it 8?
Fake rares.
Of
the
fake
8th
rares.
Series of fake rares. So we're like... You're a little bit late. Sorry.
Well, but there were a lot of series of rare Pepes, though. There's more than 8. There's like 20-something.
There's a lot of series of rare Pepes that were curated. You had to submit your art to a curation board. And then they had to say it's acceptable. Yeah. And then they made it into a rare Pepe. I don't know why or how I don't even know if they quit. But they eventually moved to fake rares. And now that's what we're doing now. These are essentially rare Pepes of today, in my opinion. The art's amazing. This is a rare one. There's only 21 of these.
Wow.
So let's talk about scarcity. Most rare Pepes have 100 copies or 300 copies or 1,000 copies or 1,000,000 copies, like a lot of them. But this is an exceptionally rare one, which I think matters. We're going to talk about it a little bit later when we get to one-of-one art. But I think I think scarcity is important.
It is.
This is
clearly
fun. This is a little bit trippy. I like the little bit trippy stuff, it seems to me. I lean into the trippy, weird stuff. I guess that's how my brain works. And that's a lot of fun. Something else I lean to is calmness. This is called Calm Pepe. By the way, you can look up all these at pepe.wtf. Just search Calm Pepe, CALMPEPE. In the search box, it'll bring it right up. This is Calm Pepe by Grant Yoon. Grant Yoon has been knocking it out of the park. If you're a Deck of Degeneracy holder, I told all of you a while back to mint a Grant Yoon edition. I made it really clear in the Discord. If you're not a Deck of Degeneracy holder, sorry, you missed out. Or maybe you didn't, who knows. But I said, mint one of these. You can only mint one per wallet. Mint it. You can mint it for $300, which was like 0.15 Bitcoin. I'm sorry, 0.15 Ethereum. Now, I don't know where they're going from. It's like 0.65, 0.7.
nice.
Like, it's 4, 5, 6x 2 or 3 months later. Grant Yoon's knocking it out of the park. Vincent Van Dough had to make a rare Pepe. This is actually his second rare Pepe he's made. The first one was Fakalife. You can search that one as well. It's very pretty, very serene, very chill. This is a calm Pepe. Funny enough, I was trying to mint this Pepe, and I couldn't. Because they only had a few to give, because there's only 100 of these, and there were way more than 100 people who wanted it. So the process of buying one was anything but calm, and I actually got locked out. Should I be bitter? Should I be mad?
You should just be calm. Just like this Pepe.
Oh,
right
I'm getting mad just thinking about it. But, I bought one on secondary market. It's already up about 100% since then.
Great. Oh, so you have nothing to be worried about. You already have one.
I do have one.
Oh,
I have a
great.
lot of rare Pepes.
Yeah, and you have a Grant Yoon. That's great. A calm.
I got a Fake Life as well. I spent literally the last week of my life buying rare Pepes, which is why we're talking about this today. Next, we have one more rare Pepe. It is Grant Yum. GRANTYUM.
I love that.
If you zoom in on this a lot.
I've seen that one on Twitter, but I didn't know the name was Grant Yum.
All right, so,
funny.
Grant Yum, the same guy who made this one, made a picture of a cow. If I was smart about making a podcast, I'd have the picture of it. It's a picture of a cow with the cow's shadow.
Got it.
And he has it listed for like a ton of money. No one's going to buy it for that ton of money.
Yeah.
Like a lot. It's basically not for sale. Fine. Alpha Centauri Kid, who may be, in my opinion, the best artist today. Take a snippet of that because it's true. Alpha Centauri Kid made this piece, which is of two of his frog characters, 69ing, and their shadow made a Pepe. Can you see
hence
it?
Grant Yum.
So look, so the rare Pepes are sometimes a little bit risque, a little bit aggressive.
Yeah.
But
for the culture, you have to
for the culture,
69.
And you can see like the rumpus shadow, and the legs and the arms / legs, and
that's a classic.
I think it's epic.
I like that one.
I've realized I've talked way too long, but we're going to talk about one-of-one art for just a minute.
Go for it.
So
yeah.
Anyway, I like the Pepes. They are a bit to get into. It's kind of hard. You have to take your money.
What would be like the one thing you would tell someone that hasn't bought any rare Pepes yet?
If you want to get into rare Pepes, get into the Pepe Pawn Shop Telegram. I was not on Telegram, really. I mean, I was in it, but I wasn't really in it.
Yeah.
You need to get in there. You need to study. You need to read. You need to read the wiki on pepe.wtf. That will actually tell you everything you need to know. That's all I did. You need to make a free wallet. Use the link on pepe.wtf because there's a bunch of free wallets. There's only one free wallet that's right. Get in the right free wallet, then deposit some Bitcoin, and then use the Bitcoin to buy Pepes from dispensers.
You're gonna need to learn all this on your own.
Yeah,
like, we're not.
No,
gonna
well,
teach
it's
you
all
here.
it's all in the wiki.
Right, exactly.
It's a long wiki. It took me like 2 hours to read.
But it's worth it if you believe in the long term, value and contributions that rare Pepe have in the NFT space. Like rare Pepes aren't going anywhere.
Rare Pepes are about happiness and fun, but they're also about history to some extent because a lot of the Pepes are about current events. Like this piece I'm looking at right here. What does this mean? I don't know. Well, Grant Yoon has a piece that's getting a lot of attention right now because it's just
a
cow with a shadow.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. It's actually really beautiful. And here's a derivative to some extent. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff like that. So look it up if you care. I think it's worth it. We've lost everyone 24 minutes in. We've only talked about Pepes.
Let's go on.
Next.
One of ones.
One of one art. I like the art. You like the art?
I love the art.
All right. Well,
I think you like it a little bit more, though. Because you've been paying the big bucks.
I've been paying big bucks for art because I think at the end of the day, scarcity matters. If there's one of a thing, and presumably it's a really cool thing, people are going to want it. So, the main place to buy one of one art is Super Rare at the moment. There's also Foundation, which has some good one of one art. I'd recommend you. I mean, to be fair, look, a lot of stuff's expensive. This piece right here was, I think, 75 ETH. It's a decent chunk of funds. This is Fly Swatter by Dan, I don't know how to say his last name, Giuz, G-I-U-Z. Don't think it's his real name, but it is what it is. And it shows a guy chilling at his desk with his assault rifle, with his cat, with his computer, doing his NFT business. Fly swatting, dealing with the stuff that comes up. So, things I think matter are uniqueness. Now, to be fair, there's a lot of people who make pieces kind of like this one that show a lot of stuff going on. So you have to find a way to make that even better. And to be fair, I think Dan here does it better than almost everyone. Next, artist consistency. Do they actually put out work at a reasonable pace? Because some artists put out some work for like 6 months and they drop off the face of the earth.
They have one big sale and they're like, done. Peace.
Yeah, I don't get that. You don't want artists who peace out, I don't think. Sometimes it makes sense, sometimes it doesn't. We saw Shartoshi recently just peace out, and his project went to the nutlow. Yeah. There's this guy named Shartoshi who had a project called... What's it called?
MFers.
MFers. He said he has a big announcement coming out, so I bought a bunch of them. Like, oh my God, this is going to go great. He has a big announcement, and then the announcement was, I'm leaving, goodbye.
What an MFer.
Yeah, well, I got what I deserved.
Exactly.
That one didn't work out. Everything you do is not going to work out. But you want artists who are relatively consistent, who show up. Next, the artist profile. When I say profile in quotes, I mean, do they have a good image in the space? Do they have a good following? Do they add value? Are they interacting, right? Some artists are not interacting at all, not in the space, not really paying attention. And to be fair, there is some value to aloofness. But at the same time, I think the more sure bet is showing up and being there, right?
We've definitely seen a pattern that artists that are excited to connect with the community have a much more, in terms of like lasting profile, right? If you're going to use that term. Grant Yoon is a great example. He interacts with the community. Alpha Centauri Kid, he interacts with the community. A lot of what he does is performance art, but he knows who he's performing for and he engages with the community in an active way. Versus that, graphic artist that has never really interacted with anyone from the NFT community. It's more doubtful if that person is actually going to garner a following because people don't really have the opportunity to build a connection with that person. So.
Yeah, if you don't talk, you don't say anything, why would anybody care?
Yep, exactly.
Is what it amounts to. So, anyway, Dan's in there, interacting, having a good time, making
the last one was
art.
price, which I actually don't think you're very sensitive to.
Price.
You're very price inelastic.
That could be true. But
if you like it, you buy it.
I learned a while back, if I like it a lot, just buy it. And buy as many as you can. Some things that are a lot of ETH, I can't buy that many. I'm not that rich yet. But price does matter. So, I don't have a piece highlighted here because it's
But that's
a video.
why you have it at the last bullet point.
There is an artist called what the fuck is it? Talk for a minute.
What? I don't know this guy's name.
No, just talk.
Oh, well, I would just say that as you can tell, this is an insight into JL's head because you see that price is in small font at the very bottom. JL is known, if you look at his vault, he's known to make some really hefty purchases.
Yeah.
And this is exactly like how he thinks.
All right, fine. I'm going to tell you, an artist, NFTKSU. She does these videos. We can't do videos on this, otherwise I'd have her highlighted. Where she essentially cosplays in various cosplay images. And there's a video of her, the camera that like goes around her. And it shows all sorts of angles. And it's really cool.
That's cool.
And her stuff has been popping off recently. I bought her first piece, I think before she had a sale of this project. And I thought it was amazing. And then I shared it, and it turns out a lot of people love it since then. a benefit of being a Degeneracy holder is I tell all of them first. Some of them got in. And her stuff's amazing. So the price of that is like not that much. I bought one the other day for 0.88 ETH. Relatively cheap.
Yeah. For
a one-of-one piece of art. And to be
in
fair,
an artist that you believe in that is producing good work.
And I'll tell you, I look for, it's going to sound weird, I look for problems. There was a problem with Foundation where the art actually didn't upload or display properly. So she posted the video on Twitter. Great video, stamped, good stuff for her. Like, par for the course, good stuff. I was happy with it. But on Foundation, it would not load. So I got a hell of a deal. Because her previous stuff was going for 1.5 or 2 ETH or 2.5 ETH. And I got this one for 0.88 because it wouldn't load right.
That's sharp.
And I bought it.
You're betting on Foundation fixing their glitch at some point.
And they did. And so now I have a big discount. That's a good example of price, right?
Yeah.
Like I got into this piece, which I like the piece. I would have bought the piece. Would I bought the piece for 5 ETH? Probably not. But would I buy the piece for half off? Most definitely. Right?
Nice.
And so I try to look for that kind of thing. Here's another piece I paid plenty for. This is 88 Miles Per Hour in Soho by Guido de Sale and Dana Taylor. Guido de Sale, in my mind, maybe the best photographer in the whole world. He takes beautiful pictures of women. I like beautiful pictures of women. Dana Taylor is an amazing model. A+. She just had a piece come out the other day. It was great. Check her out. And this piece is a little weird, but I think it's going to go down in history. You know, the thing is, they put one-of-ones in museums.
Yeah.
There's a lot of value in holding pieces museums may want one day, in my mind.
That's my whole thesis. To buy things that museums are going to want later and hold on to them.
We'll see. Here's another piece by Pop Wonder. This is the piece we actually displayed at the Super Rare Gallery at the Degeneracy party. This is called Cleansing Flame, I think. Is that right?
That looks right.
It looks right. Well, I don't know.
I see a flame.
You see it in the notes, but I think it's right. I didn't actually look this one up. I winged it. And I've been a big fan of Pop Wonder for a long time. So has Johnny. Johnny got me into Pop Wonder. He wrecked me on a trade for a Pop Wonder one time. Good job, Johnny.
And I bought a Pop Wonder one-of-one for 3 ETH. That's my claim to fame.
I bought this one for a lot more than 3. The few after that have been popping off. Pop Wonder is amazing. I mean, I don't know. Just look at this art, right? It's just fun. It's unique. It's different.
It's trippy.
It's colorful. I like the trippy stuff. Yeah. Maybe I'm a trippy person at heart. I know all of you think me, Jonathan Lill, if you know me, is very straight-laced human, unless you partied with me. And I like it. Here's another piece I got the other day by Vertigo. Can you tell what's going on here? It's a little bit wild, a little bit weird.
Inspected this one.
This is the Grail by Vertigo. This is an example of a piece. I think I paid 2 or 3 for this the other day. On Super Rare, one-of-one. Vertigo has had multiple sales. Look, if you've had multiple sales, if all of the other people who I perceive to be sharp are buying in, they like it, and I like it, why am I not buying it, is the question. And even if you have to overpay compared to recent sales a little bit, I think it's probably worth it. And this is weird. This is trippy. I don't even really know what's going on. Maybe Vertigo can enlighten us, but I think it is a lot of fun. So that's what I've been buying. One-of-one art and rare Pepes.
I like it.
You want to do some talking?
Yeah, sure. I will share how I've been thinking about NFTs recently. So for my strategy, I've been thinking mostly about the context of historical NFTs and really just trying to accumulate, especially during this bear market, kind of counter cycle. What you're going to notice if you do NFTs long enough is that everything follows a cyclical nature. There's like hype periods, and then there's periods of lulls where no one wants to buy anything that you own.
That's the time to be loading up.
That's what I've been loading up on. I've been loading up on historical NFTs. Why? Well, let me just quickly go through this.
What's a historical NFT mean?
So, yeah, let's define this. So, the first non-fungible token, I believe, was like in 2014 or 2013, and it was not even on Ethereum. It was on Namecoin. So, Namecoin is this early fork of Bitcoin, and they had these images that were downloaded as tokens, and the tokens would reference to these images. And since then, NFTs have obviously mutated and taken on a whole lot of different forms. But at the beginning, it was simple images being referenced on this Namecoin blockchain, which then we had Bitcoin, and then we had Ethereum, etc. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit, but this is actually where like our strategies overlap, because I've been into rare Pepes for a while also, but it wasn't because of fake rares. It was just because they were old. Like just anything that's an old image, I think it's a very sticky narrative, because ultimately what drives value in especially the NFT market, where we have these tokens that people build emotional connections with, right? Like NFTs categorically don't have the same types of pump and dumps as you would see in like altcoins or shitcoins, right? Because I mean, you can see it sometimes, right? There are definitely those examples, but ultimately, the ebbs and the flows tend to be a little bit more moderated, because people tend to hold on to their NFTs. They build an emotional connection. They say, "Oh, I want to keep it because it's special to me," which they would never do with a shitcoin.
Like, why would I care about Dogecoin or
exactly.
Ethereum or whatever?
Exactly.
Who cares?
Like,
Who cares?
I can always buy more later.
But you may like this Pepe
But
Ross
this
here.
Pepe, there's only 50 of them, right?
You may like
so
it.
if I sell it, I may never get it back, right? So then that creates these narratives that people stick with, right? And the narrative of it's old is actually one of the more sticky narratives in the space, where it always proves itself and it always gets stronger with time. Like as the next year progresses, the NFTs that I own are just going to get a little bit older, and it can never be outdone, right? Like no one can create a 2014 NFT anymore. There's only so many of them, and all I can do right now is just try to accumulate them for when they become more valuable.
They are some of the oldest as well, which is valuable because there's not a whole lot that is...
Right. It's a very scarce supply.
The things that are older than, let's say, this Pepe Ross are kind of ugly.
Sure, maybe, yeah. But like I'm buying the ugly stuff too. But basically there's a limited number of tokens from this time era, and I just want to accumulate as many of those tokens as possible. Of course, the ones that kind of matter. There are some tokens that don't matter as much as others for different reasons. I try to find the ones that are going to matter and try to accumulate those. So I've been distributing my bets on NFTs from before 2000 or around 2018 and before. And I've been trying to follow the cycles. So like right now is actually like a very hyped time for rare Pepes. There's a lot of
because of Vincent Van Gogh and everything I've been talking about, right?
So maybe you don't go out and snap buy a rare Pepe at the top right now, but you keep it in your mind, and once the next cycle comes and the rare Pepes kind of fizzle out, people stop being interested, you go and see what's available in the dispenser, what's available in Emblem Vault, what can I make an offer for on OpenSea, and that's what I've been trying to do. I've been trying to play those cycles. One thing I'll say before I talk about the specific examples, there's a lot of shilling in this space because there are a few influencers that are very cognizant of the fact that this is a narrative-based space of saying something's old. So they'll call things old that aren't really that old, or they'll like discover a new NFT project that they mysteriously have 800 of, and they'll be like, "Oh, I just discovered this," and they'll hype it up. And I'm not saying maybe it will have lasting value over time, but there's a lot of maybe like manipulation of the narrative. So what I try to do is I try to stay out of the narratives, or stay out of the hype. I just find the projects I'm interested in and try to accumulate them, especially when when the prices are lower. So this was one of the first rare Pepes that I bought. It's a Pepe Ross. It's 1 of 50. It's the second series. It's actually the first. So I still don't have the rare Pepe, which is a Nakamoto. It's actually the shirt that I'm wearing, if you guys can see. I've got a Nakamoto here.
How cute.
I know. This is like, I'm going to get one eventually. But this is the first rare Pepe that references the original Nakamoto card. There's 300 Nakamotos. There's only 50 Pepe Rosses. And I'm hoping that there's so few of these that someone is going to want one at some point. And I'm planning to hold it for a while. But if I could trade it for a Nakamoto or something, that'd be amazing.
Well, so let me tell you something. So the other day, I was buying rare Pepes, or at least looking at rare Pepes. And you know me, I'm looking for a deal.
Sure.
I found, I think it was like number 12 card or something. There's only 100 of them. Number 12. Series 1,
number 12.
Series 1, number 12, so very early. And it was for 0.2 Bitcoin. For an addition of 100.
You scooped it.
I don't even know what it is. I bought it immediately.
Great. Yeah, you just need to snap buy that.
And that's exactly what I did. I talked to a few people. They like, oh my God, this got listed an hour ago.
Wow.
You should buy it up.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, I'm buying it up. And because you bought a 50 edition of this thing from 2016, so did I, except for the edition of 100. And it's a heck of a value.
That's a huge value.
And whatever, you throw it into the vault, or even you list it for sale again for 4, 5, 10 times the price you paid, and you take a flip. And worst case, it doesn't sell, and you're stuck with this super old asset.
Only getting older over time.
Old asset from 2016, and that's
so there's a limited number of these tokens, and I've been trying to accumulate them. Next slide. So this is just a picture of an egg. It probably looks
that's
really
a Twitter
weird.
icon.
That is that's the original Twitter egg icon for your default photo when you made a Twitter account and you didn't put your picture up. Okay. So anyway, but these profiles were actually captured on the Namecoin blockchain from 2014 to 2015. They're considered one of the first NFTs ever because you could actually make these accounts on Namecoin, and a lot of users, what they did was they didn't have a profile picture. So they used the Twitter egg default profile picture to make their account on this Namecoin blockchain. And now there's 256 of these Twitter eggs on Namecoin. I own one of them. I think it's a really cool, homage to the NFT space. Really just kind of shows how things got started. And I really like this one. So I have a Twitter egg. Let's move on to the next one.
Even I have a hard time wrapping my brain around this one. Okay.
I also really like Twitter eggs because of nesting. Like, you can put your other profile picture inside of the egg, and it just looks badass. So that's what I've done.
What's your name on Twitter? People can follow you.
Johnny B. Yeah, we're gonna have that up somewhere. So JONY.
I don't know.
_ BEE. I'm one of the hosts of the show. They better be able to follow me. So. All right, so then the next one is a curio card. I'm not going to talk about this for very long, but just, again, one of the older NFT projects. It's a game that was created in around, I think, 2017. And there's a limited number of these cards, and I've just been trying to accumulate them during the down cycles. They go up, they go down.
I have 0 curio cards.
I think that's a blunder. Like, I think
let me send myself an email. Okay, you keep talking. I'm going to send myself
an email. But by the way,
again,
I wouldn't buy these at the top. What I do is I wait for a bear market, and I just start putting in bids, and I just start scooping this stuff.
What's a bid?
Well,
for everybody listening.
Oh, sorry. So a bid would mean that instead of paying the buy it now price on an NFT platform, I'm putting in an offer that's under floor, and hopefully someone accepts it. The good thing about these is that, for example, this Mine Bitcoin card, I think there's like 900 of them. So when you put in a bid, every owner of that card gets a notification. So it's a very efficient way to purchase things below floor. So I've scooped a few of these.
So if the floor is less pretend 1 ETH, you put in a bid for 0.8.
Right.
And somebody who needs 0.8 ETH right now may accept. And then you get a bit of a value.
Exactly.
And then you got this thing worth 1 ETH for 0.8.
Right. And ideally you're buying it when it's in a depressed value state, so that it's not only the savings that you're getting under the floor, but it's also just going to go up in general. So
why would it go up in general? So this is the thing a lot of people wonder. Why should this get more value?
Because there's a limited number of these tokens, and no one can make tokens from 2017, 2018 anymore. There's a provable provenance on the blockchain that shows that this was created during that time. And as NFTs, if we believe that Ethereum will continue to be valuable, and if we believe that NFTs are here to stay, then the oldest NFTs are going to accrue interest over time. So it just makes sense for me to try to accumulate them. And then when people want old NFTs later, I'm going to have multiples to sell them.
For all of the people who are skeptical of NFTs, if you hear 40 minutes into this podcast.
I think everyone left already. But we have wine. Oh, you're done with your wine?
I drank my wine.
Oh, okay.
A few good, I don't know if analogy is the right word, but imagine sports cards, right? The first sports cards from any year from 1914 or whatever they are quite valuable even if they're the bad cards. Next, think about currency. Imagine the first dollar bills that were made, whatever the year they were made in. Even like all sorts of random dollar bills that were made whenever they were initially made are all worth more than $1, a whole lot more than $1. And worst case, I think NFTs are going to follow that path. Best case, I think they do substantially better. All right, next, you got this picture of a car.
That's an Ether Lambo. So
I don't have any of these either. Man, why have you not been talking to me about these things?
Because I'm trying to accumulate them. If I tell you, you're going to buy all of them. So in 2018, there was a project called Ether Lambos. It was like the first car-based NFT, whatever. But these are really fun. And every time there's an Ether Lambo bot on Twitter, every time one is purchased, it says, this is whatever percentage of a real Lambo. So it'll be like, this sold for $2,000. That's 0.7% of a real Lambo. I honestly think these things are going to be worth one Lambo at some point. Just because it's literally Ether Lambos. I know. It has like 200x. But to me, it just makes sense. An Ether Lambo is worth an in real life Lambo. At some point, not in 2022, but maybe in 2027, these things are going to be rare. There's only so many of them. There's this is the Litecoin Lambo, because they have themed for every different cryptocurrency. They'll have
because it has the Lexus emblem on it.
No, that's the Litecoin.
Oh, Litecoin.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Close enough. Looks like Lexus to me.
So there's one for Bitcoin, there's one for Vitalik, for Ethereum, there's one for Litecoin, and there's only 800 of these, right? So I'm trying to scoop them, I'm trying to accumulate them, and then later on I can trade them for a real Lamborghini. I'm kidding. Maybe not, but I think they're going to be worth more than they're worth now, and I think they're cool. You can also customize them on etherlambos.io, where you can change their color, their paint, their chassis. It's kind of cool. So anyway,
what's a chassis?
Like the body. You can have different, a spoiler. You can make it different shapes and stuff. So
you're a car manufacturer,
I guess.
All right,
so let's move on. We're 40 minutes in, but
we said we were going to talk 10 minutes about what we both liked. We went a little bit long.
Yeah. Well, I guess we really like this stuff.
We really do like this stuff. If you're still here, hello. Let us know in the comments. We'll have 6 comments. All right, next. We want to talk about a strategy concept I've been thinking about, maybe Johnny too. What do we look for in minting an NFT? And there are a lot of NFTs that come out on a very regular basis.
Every day
hundreds
there's
15 a day,
new
10,
drops.
15. I say hundreds a day, probably not hundreds. There's a lot per day, a lot per week, whatever. There's a lot of them. And you have to figure out, are there any good ones to buy? Because some will inevitably be good, and some will go to 0 very quickly. So I'm going to tell you what I look for. John's going to tell you what he looks for. We're going to look at a project I minted recently.
We promise this will be faster than the last segment.
No, we don't. All right, next. Okay, I look for who made it.
Fair.
Is it a random person off the street? Is it an anonymous person?
Is it someone that's already done 3 rugs?
Exactly. Have they already rugged us? Rug means they take all of our money and leave. Have they done that a few times? So I want, ideally, for it to be someone who is a well-known person, who is known to give back to their community, add value, do a good project.
I mean, that's the dream.
I want them to have something to lose, right? I don't want a person who has nothing to lose, who can just take the money and run or
this
whatnot.
Filters out 99% of new projects, by the way.
Yeah, the first point is who made it.
Yeah.
And you're going to miss some stuff just on this first filter.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I don't care. There's a lot of opportunities.
Which is why you're not minting a lot of stuff.
I'm really not minting a lot of stuff. I used to mint everything, and now I don't mint almost anything. So you want to look at who made it, and really, the filter in life across the board, if you want to make sure you don't get in bad relationships, bad friendships, bad business partnerships, is do they have a lot to lose? And if they have a lot to lose, they won't screw you. Simple as that.
That's fair.
So look for that. Next, what is its purpose? What is this thing trying to accomplish? What are they doing? Is it cool? Is it special? Next point, what makes it special? Why do I actually care? Right? Because a lot of stuff comes out and I just don't really care because it's just it's like nothing special, right? Why would I need to care about this thing? And then there's other differentiator, profile pictures versus everything else. I've not been minting very many profile pictures recently. We may make a Degeneracy profile picture coming out that has lots of utility, but that goes back to what is its purpose? Utility. What makes it special? Utility, right? Right. Added value is essentially what it amounts to.
Then also, who made it? That takes the first.
Who made it?
Right?
Me.
Someone that's proven to give back to the community and gives a shit about what they're doing.
It might actually be
and they
okay.
haven't rugged anyone yet.
I haven't yet, and I don't plan to. And so with profile pictures are a little bit different than everything else. Everything else is mostly art, it is art. It's like music or videos or whatnot. But profile pictures are a little. They probably deserve their whole other spiel because
We should have like a different episode for PFPs.
we should. But for profile pictures, I think community slash environment is very relevant, like the vibe, right? Some, like for example, imagine there's an NFT profile picture based around hard rock concerts, and if you have one of these, you get to go to whatever hard rock concert you want. Sound familiar?
That's cool.
Sounds like Wicked Craniums.
Yeah.
And that's kind of cool and unique and different. But imagine one that just comes out for free and you get to get it if you pay the gas, and it gives you nothing, and it just has neat, weird art. Maybe not so much. Maybe I'm not so sure. Sometimes there is room for art, though. Sometimes art is enough.
One thing I would say is like general context for both JL's slide and my slide about minting is that times have changed a lot in the NFT space, where I think, and especially like if you play poker, you would understand this concept of maybe 2021 and before, minting was generally positive EV for almost any project. You could literally just like find a new project, people are talking about it on Twitter, mint it, and you're probably going to be up if you just figure out when to flip it, right? And there were a lot of people that made a lot of money just blindly minting every single project possible. But now we're recording this, it's August 1st, 2022. We're in a negative EV minting environment, which is why you need to have a decision framework for how you're going to mint. Because if you just blindly mint thinking, oh, I'm into NFTs. NFTs are easy money. No, they're not. NFTs are overwhelmingly rug pulls, overwhelmingly like just garbage. So you need to have like, especially the new ones that are coming out today. So you really need to have a strong framework for how you're thinking about it.
I'll say not necessarily garbage, but
well, the ones that are coming out today,
not enough of people care.
Sure.
Which, like, imagine a piece of art, right? They sell it for 0.1 ETH and they have 10,000 of them. Maybe it's a supply problem. Imagine they made 1,000 of them.
Right.
They'd be a whole lot more valuable, but maybe the artist overestimated demand.
They're diluted, right?
Everyone
diluted. Wants to have their own project. A lot of people are on their 10th project at this point, and it's really hard to differentiate. So, like he said, who made it really matters.
It really does. And, like, again, go back to their, like, what is its purpose? What makes it special? What's the artist profile, right? Like, what is the artist trying to do? Going back to that 101 idea.
Yep.
Like, what are they doing? I'll give you an example. Guido from earlier. Remember Guido? Let's see if I can find his piece. Guido, who made this piece, also made a piece called Sicilian Kiss, which honestly, Guido, I don't even like it that much. But it was free to mint, and you could mint however many I think it was one per wallet, and I think 19,000 of them got minted for free in a day. He gave like a 1 day period to mint them. And now the floor is like 0.04 ETH. So free to 0.04 is a decent markup. And then he's using these as essentially currency, where you can burn these.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And then get something else. So he's done one burn mechanism already. He's told Twitter he's going to do more burn mechanisms in the future. And he's taken this thing. They all look the same. They're not even profile pictures. They all look the same.
Yeah.
And essentially,
that's like your loser token.
Yes, like my loser token. If you know what losers are, well, hello. You're sharp. You're ahead.
Buy losers.
Buy losers. And like that's a cool idea of minting a thing and then using that thing that was for free to make other things in the future. All right, so I want to talk to you about one thing that I've minted recently. It's called Space Fight. This is an album. You know what CDs are, right? CDs, for all of us old people, CDs are albums where they give you 11 tracks, or more or less, or whatever. So who made it? Space Fight is a band. I don't know anything about Space Fight, but they have a lot of art. Every song, there are 11 songs, has art by good artists. Many of them are Deck of Degeneracy artists who I have worked with.
Yep.
So
built relationships
worst
with these people.
case, I'm going to support these people, support the project they're working with. Worst case, right? So what is this purpose? Music plus art. There are not a whole lot of albums out on NFTs yet. There are some, but not a lot. Fine. What makes it special? Well, music plus art plus a really cheap price. Going back to the idea of price. How much was it? It was 0.2 ETH for 11 NFTs. So you minted it once and you got sent 11 different NFTs that were a piece of art and a song. And again, I'm pretty good at analyzing art. I'm not so good at analyzing music. Maybe I am. I haven't really tried. Maybe we'll get there one day.
Yeah.
But whatever. So, 0.2 ETH for 11 NFTs. Some of the artists involved are literally very, very good artists today. So we have Pop Wonder, we talked about earlier. We have OSF, who's knocking stuff out of the park. And it seemed free as free could be to me. And then the Spacefight band said that basically we're going to sell for this window for like a 3-day period or a week period. I don't even know what it was. And after that period, we're going to close it off. That'll be however many it is. If it doesn't sell out, it doesn't sell out. And it did not sell out. I don't know why it didn't sell out. You can only buy 3 per wallet. I would have bought way more than 3 per wallet if they let me. I had 2 wallets. I bought 6. And they only sold like 120. So now there's 120 copies of these things. So for reference, OSF has many pieces with, let's say, 300 copies of it that are selling for 0.7 ETH, 0.5 ETH, 0.4 ETH, whatever. So imagine I can get one piece by OSF that has 120 copies, and I know the other similar pieces of that are going for 0.5 ETH, 0.4 ETH, whatever. It's like a free double up, you would think, right? Now, I will say, anytime an artist does something on somebody else's project, somebody else's chain, whatever, it tends to not do as well as if it's in their own collection.
Right. Yeah. I've seen that pattern before.
It is a pattern. I don't really get why.
Collabs are generally undervalued by the market.
They are. Fine. So I know it's going to be undervalued some. So imagine it's 0.4. Maybe it's worth 0.25. Let's just pretend. And then, so fine. Let's imagine that one piece is going to be worth 0.25, but I can mint it for 0.2. So that one right off the bat is going to be...
Pays for the other 10.
Pays for the other 10. And if any of the other 10 do anything, it's going to be good. And I know Pop Wonder stuff is going to do good as well because it has a similar-ish trajectory. Then we have Zachary Winterton, who's also made a Degeneracy piece. We have Perpetual Dream Maze, also did one. And I know these artists are all pretty good. So, a week out, I think this has been out for about a week, the floor is now 0.45.
For just one of the albums?
No, for the whole thing.
For the whole thing?
Well, for the whole album.
Okay, cool.
So
I wasn't
pieces.
whitelisted for that project.
You don't have to be whitelisted. It's free.
Really? I blundered on that.
We prefer allow list.
Yeah.
And also,
I wasn't allow listed for it.
And you did not have to be allow listed.
Well,
you could have been allow listed,
up.
but then it was meant 3 per wallet.
Well, I can buy one for 0.45.
Well, you can buy the whole album, but you don't even have to buy the whole album. You can buy the OSF piece for 0.26, I think.
Oh, sweet.
Or the Pop Wonder for, I think, 0.07. Pretty cheap.
That
And
is cheap.
then there's like there's a multiple of them that are like 0.07, 0.06,
Nice.
0.05, 0.04. But there's 11 pieces, right?
Right.
And you got them all for 0.2. So this in my mind was like free as free could be. Really, here they are. Let's see. You can look at the numbers. So OSF here is in the bottom right.
That paid, yeah.
So 0.26. Right?
And like you said, that paid for the whole mint.
Yeah, and like, how can you really lose? Now, to be
Yeah.
fair, we're not talking about big money here, right?
Yeah.
0.26 ETH is 700, 800 bucks, whatever it is. Is it 700 bucks? That'd be nice.
I wish.
It's 300, 400 bucks. Used to be 700, 800 bucks. And so, but look, some of them are not doing very well at all, right? Like 0.0007, it's basically free.
Yeah.
Right? And that should be expected because we have some pieces with amazing art by literal master artists over here.
Legends in the space.
Yeah, and then we have some that are
More unknown.
not so much. And that's fine. And to be fair, the thing is that like the masters in the space, they're not going to decline all that much. If any, I mean, they're probably going to go up. And then the people who are very low here may also go up one day. I would actually be willing to bet one of these top lines here that are very low, they might be worth 0.25 one day. You just sit on it, right? And so anyway, in my mind, I know Pop Wonder's going to the moon. I know OSF's going to the moon. I know Zachary Winterton piece here, 0.00275. That's probably really, really cheap. I bet that's going to the moon because all of his pieces also have, I think, 66 copies, 50 copies, 30 copies, whatever. All of them are like 0.15 floor, 0.2 floor, or whatever. This is a cheap one as well. You want to pick of the week. There you go. If assuming you want to put a little bit of money, only a little bit of money at work. And in my mind, that was like an auto mint. Like I would have minted a bunch of these if they let me. If they made it easy on me. To be fair, maybe the fact that they didn't make it easy on me is a reason that it's good because I would have minted 100 of them, 50 of them. I would have minted a lot. And to be fair, it would have eluded all of you, but it worked out at the end of the day. And I look for stuff like that where they have good art. What were my analytics? Who made it? A band, but also good artists, right?
Yeah.
What's the purpose? Get an album out there, make it unique, put it on the blockchain.
NFT
it's
album.
different. There's not a whole lot of NFT albums, right? What makes it special? Well, all the epic art. Most albums have, marginal art. And that's that.
Yep.
So I think that was pretty good. All right, now, what do you look for? Oh my God.
All right.
10 minutes,
so
10 minutes a segment. Oh my God.
I'm going to go faster.
You don't have to go fast.
But I am not, maybe, like, what you're going to notice about my frameworks for thinking, maybe I'm just not as confident in my bets. Like, JL's, like, evaluating art and evaluating talent. I'm like, man, I don't know about any of that stuff. I'm just going to look at the most objective evidence possible. Is it old? Like, anyone can look at that and buy it.
Time.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, something that, like, is objectively undisputable. So what I look for is actually, like, the art is the very last thing I look at. So the first thing I would look at is just, and this is literally a to-do for someone that's new in the NFT space or someone that's been in for a while. This is how someone that's a little bit experienced thinks about new mints. By the way, again, I haven't been minting a lot, but the first thing is to build up a solid list of trusted accounts that you follow on Twitter. These are people that are influential in the NFT space, thought leaders, people that you believe really get it and maybe, you know, embody your ethos for how you're thinking about the space in general, right? So this would be like not following people that have done rug pulls, not following grifters, like following people that you respect, right?
Pause.
Yeah.
Pause. So I had a sharp list on my Twitter, and the sharp list became too big and I couldn't follow it. So I made a must-read list.
I saw that.
And there's one follower of my must-read list. It's Johnny.
Yeah,
and
I immediately followed that. I was like, I need to know this.
There's like 10 people on the must-read list because anytime it's 10 artists basically. Anytime these artists put out anything, I need to go buy it because it's free as free could be.
The cool thing is that at least as of August 2022, a lot of this is still discoverable on Twitter.
Yeah.
Twitter is still the main place that you can go to discover this stuff, and everyone has an equal opportunity as long as you know how to use it, right? Which I like that because it kind of evens the playing field. But first you have to know who to follow. So follow just the thought leaders, the people that have already had success in the space, the people that aren't dumping on their followers, right? So then the second thing is, was this project shared by one of those people that I trust? And by the way, if it was shared with you personally, like someone DM'd you that you trust and said, hey, buy this. Well, wait, I know that you're thinking that's suspicious, but I just snap buy it. I'm talking about like a select few people that I consider friends in the space.
If I tell Johnny to buy something, it's probably really good.
That's what I'm saying. So
yeah.
It was the product shared by someone I trust. If JL tells me to buy something, I'm going to buy it.
Not
right?
some bot that tells you,
right.
This
Obviously,
random
you have to
dude.
verify that it's actually them. Yeah. But if Pop Wonder came up to me and he's like, hey, I think this is a good idea. People don't know about this artist. Look into buying it. Of course, I'm not going to have to do that much research. I trust him. I've met him. I know he's a G, and I'm just going to buy it. So there have been some projects that just by word of mouth, I already knew I was going to mint it, right?
Let me pause this right here. Okay. I'm sorry for interrupting so much.
That's fine.
I am good friends with a guy named Von Mises. Von Mises is a legend in the space.
He's super sharp.
The sharpest of sharp. And we chat about NFTs every day. And he tells me to buy something about once a week. He tells me to buy it. I load up because, you know, he probably wins or loses about half the time. Sometimes he loses half the time. Sometimes he wins half the time. But when he wins, it's like a 10x. And when he loses, it's like a minus 1x.
There you go.
So it's free as free can be. So you find these people who are sharp. So I listen to Von Mises. I listen to Cosmo Medici. Cosmo Medici sends an email with
Medici Minutes.
There you go, the Medici Minutes with artists who he thinks are emerging. You know what I do? I look at all of them and I buy something from almost all of them every time.
See?
There you go.
And that's actually just doing the work, right?
Right.
Like,
and that's public. That's completely public knowledge. Vince Van Dough, right? He posts something, shows off an artist. I'm looking into it. Now, I may not necessarily buy it, but whatever. I'll very often buy it. So I look for these people who I perceive to have good taste, who I perceive to be sharp, who I perceive to be in the know, and I just buy it, assuming I like it. Now, if I hate it, I'm not going to buy it. But very rarely do I hate it. Very often it's just cutting edge, and I'm oblivious to it because you can only know so much. So find sharp people and follow them.
So again, this to-do list is for people that maybe you're new to this NFT space and maybe you don't have anyone telling you what to buy, which is totally fine, right? And by the way, I don't have that many people either, but it happens occasionally, right? So then, well, how would you, as someone that maybe you're still growing, you're still learning the space, how would you figure out what to mint? Well, then there's the third thing, which is look at the project on Twitter and see, is that project that you're considering minting followed by those respected people that you follow? Do not just look at the number of followers. The number of followers is a complete bullshit number. They can buy 70,000 followers easily just because that's like such a big trap. Like one of the most common traps. Oh, it looks popular. They have 50 posts and they have 70,000 followers. No, that's total bullshit. What matters is, do the people that you trust follow that account? Because that is, a lot of this is just copy trading. And what I'm doing is I'm just looking at smart people in the space and I'm figuring out what are they doing and can I do a little bit of that too? And this is one of the easiest ways to evaluate, is this project even on these people's radar? But that's why you want to build up those trusted accounts on Twitter first. And again, what I'm trying to do is kind of come up with a decision framework that could work for any person. Literally anyone watching this, you can do this tomorrow and have an idea of what to mint. So then the fourth one is, what's the project size and price? And this is just a trade-off, right? So you don't want the project generally to be less than 100 pieces because then it's hard to build a community around. You don't want it to be more than 10K because then it kind of dilutes typically. If it's like 12K, that's fine. If it's 50K, that's like a huge
What
red
about
flag.
200K?
That sounds like
Pixel other word or whatever.
That sounds like Pixel.
There you go.
Yeah, like that sounds like a scam. If there's 200K.
You think it's a scam?
Pixel.
Oh
yeah. Oops.
Yeah.
I'm not a Beanie fan. So, but yeah, like you want to look at that trade-off. It's really going to be hard for a 200K mint-sized project to accrete value.
At least today, I will say, give it 20 years.
Yeah,
Give
maybe.
it 20
Maybe
years, we
great.
might have the people
Yeah.
in the space to do it. But
No, by
not
the way,
today.
there are a few people that can pull it off. One of the people that I would say can pull off greater than 10K mint size is Gary V.
Bored
but
Apes.
because
Bored Apes, they've done it with the
Yuga Labs, but like I'm talking about the thought, like the most, the people that have done the most in the space, they can get away with a 10K over 10K mint size. But in general, if you're launching a new project and you're relatively unknown, it's hard to return value to your followers and the people that minted if you're creating such a dilutive NFT from the very beginning. So anyway, and let's say it's 10K. Is it cheap? It should be like relatively inexpensive.
0.1 or less.
Right. If you see that it's 10K and they're charging 0.33 ETH, probably a scam. Like probably like not even looking at it. So it's
if they are charging 0.33, what are they giving you? It better be more than just
you
a
gotta
picture.
You gotta really evaluate the utility there. And that's the next one. What's the art? What's the utility? What's the narrative? And these are multiple things. But for example, the art. What's unique about it? If it's just the next PFP profile, I don't need the next animal PFP. Like, what is unique about it? Does it have, maybe if it doesn't have super unique art, what's the utility? Is it bringing some new utility that hasn't been seen in the space before, or that's kind of a unique value proposition? And then, is there a narrative around it? Is there some kind of narrative that's sticky that you think that other people could pay attention to? And like, I don't have, like, I could talk about a bunch of examples, but in general, I actually
Talk to me about narrative, because I get art, I get utility. Degeneracy holders understand utility. Explain narrative.
Narrative, like for example,
I hate narrative. Go
no,
ahead.
but like I'll give you one of the more recent narratives, which was the STEPN app, right, where you could buy your STEPN shoes and then you could get paid to walk around. And like I didn't really get into this, but it was unique, right? It was basically work out to earn instead of like
and it's
play
an
to
NFT.
earn. And it's an NFT.
And it sits in your pocket or something?
It's like it tracks your steps and you can earn currency by walking around, basically.
Sure.
So what I'm saying is, like, I didn't actually buy it, but that's unique, right? They're doing something
That
different.
is unique. That is
right?
different. I don't despise that. So that's an interesting narrative.
Right. So it's just, is it something that's going to catch people's eyes, or also is it just like super cringe? Sometimes it's so cringe that people get into it. There was the We're All Gonna Die NFT, where you had to burn the NFTs in order to get a different NFT, and it pumped for a little while because it had an interesting narrative of these like 2D characters that looked, really ugly, but you would burn them, and someone actually ended up burning a mutant or something. It was really like a mutant ape. It was absolutely insane. So that's what I'm talking about. Like, or like, even goblins. I would say it falls into the narrative category, right?
What's their narrative?
Just being ugly. Like, and then like having these spaces where everyone talks in goblin voice, and it's just really annoying. So like, they created their own thing, and I wouldn't say the art isn't amazing about goblins. There's not a whole lot of utility, but they created a narrative. And if you can recognize those narratives early on, if you're like, holy shit, this is viral because it's so cringe, and you can be one of the people to buy it early, it could work out for you. Again, I haven't been minting a whole lot, but narrative definitely has a place.
I cannot help all of you with that kind of narrative. All I know is good art.
And that's why you missed out on goblins.
And I have owned, and I missed goblins completely.
All right.
Additional thoughts. You are not always going to win. Listen, like I said with my guy Von Mises, who tells me to buy stuff, half the time it goes into the dumpster. Half the time it goes to the moon. It's a good deal. I have this point here. Do not... Why is this formatted poorly? Do not sell too soon unless you see immediate stagnation. Or if you plan to flip it. So this is a tough thing, right? Like, imagine you get into a project and you think there's a lot of hype. Hype is something I did not mention, and you didn't mention either, but hype is a thing. When people are hyped up, it's going to go up. The most hype thing I remember recently was Invisible Friends. Remember Invisible Friends? Mm-hmm. Everybody wanted an Invisible Friend. And they minted for it was kind of a lot. I remember what it was. It was like 1.5 ETH or something, or 0.5 ETH or something. It was a lot. It was like more than you would think it would be.
And then it went way higher.
And it went way higher because everybody wanted in. So imagine you see this massive hype for this piece of art. And there's 10,000 of them or whatever the number is. Again, I'm rough on my numbers. And it goes up. And then it kind of stagnates. And then it kind of hangs out there.
Some of this has to do with momentum trading, which actually has to do with just being a good trader, which not everyone has those skills. But also you could cultivate those skills over time, right? You can see the ups and the downs, and you can learn to detect, hey, it looks like this is flatlining. It looks like the price action has plateaued. Maybe I should sell.
Well, I'll tell you where I went wrong on this. So, for example, with Invisible Friends, if I was in them, I would have sold them at literally the top and been done. I thought I was selling Bored Apes at the top. I minted a bunch of Bored Apes, and they went up to 8, and then they kind of declined to 6 ETH, and then they just hung out for a month.
Yeah.
I bought a few more at 6.5, give or take, hanging out. I'm like, these are done. There's no way these things go up anymore. And so I sold all of them except for one. Then I had one that I eventually sold for 60 or 80, something I don't remember. It was a while ago. I sold it for a decent amount. But I sold 9 out of my 10 Bored Apes for 6 ETH because they stagnated. So you got to be careful with this because who knows where we're going? We don't really know.
Yep.
We're guessing, we're speculating. In my experience, most stuff that stagnates and just kind of hangs out
usually
just slowly declines.
But there are the exceptions.
And there will be exceptions. I get why Bored Apes did what it did in retrospect, but it takes a perfect storm to some extent.
And a lot of very smart people that I knew also sold their Bored Apes at 6 ETH or didn't even buy them.
We're not that smart.
Yeah.
Next, realize that some NFTs require you to pay attention, and your attention is limited. So this is one of my biggest problems, we'll call it in the space, is that I cannot focus on everything. I tell all of my Degeneracy holders, I only have 6 Discord, what's it called, channels? Threads? I don't know what it is. I have 6 Discord channels total. I don't want to be taking your attention because I know it's very limited. I'll tell you a problem. With Forgotten Runes Wizard Cult, I had a bunch of wizards.
That's my
and I love the wizards. I thought they were really cool. They had a good vibe. They had a good community. I thought the art was neat, whatever. But they demanded that you pay attention and do whatever they say you do. Or figure out what they say you're going to do. What they want you to do. One of the things they wanted you to do was write a story on their website. But they did not tell you to write the story on the website. And then they said, if you wrote a story on our website, we'll give you this thing for free, worth 0.3 ETH. Or 0.6 ETH? It was 0.3. You remember? 0.3 ETH. It was a lot. Now, I had a bunch of wizards, and I wrote no stories, because I don't have time to be writing stories about a wizard. And I was very annoyed when this happened that I, as a big holder, because I did not write a story on their website, now missed out on, let's say, 3 ETH worth of value of free mints. And, that project just might not be for me. And you got to realize everything's not for you. And some projects demand attention. Now, I made Deck of Degeneracy to not demand your attention. You don't have to pay attention at all if you don't want to. All you have to do is buy your cards, hold your cards. If you win, you get your thing. If you don't win, you don't get your thing. And that's it. There is a little bit of paying attention to where, like, we're having a poker tournament. You got to show up and play the poker tournament or you don't get anything. But that's minimal. Yeah. It's fair and it's minimal. But go ahead.
Maybe that's a place where you can have an edge if you have a lot of attention and time to focus on NFTs to be involved in those projects.
Well, load up in the projects that demand massive attention if you have the attention to give, and then do that. But I realize a lot of you have family, job, whatever, like a lot of NFTs, and you don't have a ton of time to pay attention to everything. And it is hard to pay attention to everything.
Not all projects are as considerate of your time as DoD. I will say.
They're not. And it's also important for you to realize that everything is not for you.
Yep.
I love the Wizards. I'm selling out of the Wizards because I can't be losing the value. You have to realize if somebody else is getting that value because they're paying attention, it's coming out of your pocket. And that's a problem.
Let's move on.
I don't know. You have any other thoughts about minting stuff? What to mint? You like this 30-minute long podcast, Johnny?
Yeah. I mean, I hope you guys are watching this on 2x speed. Maybe then it can be 30 minutes.
No, we're very fast talkers. All right, next. All right. I want to spotlight NFT, and you're going to spotlight NFT, and then we'll go from there. Cool. Next, I want to spotlight Night of Degeneracy by Caravaggio.
That is so sexy.
It is. Caravaggio's piece, Night of Degeneracy, is part of the Deck of Degeneracy art collection. We'll be giving this away for free to 54 Deck of Degeneracy holders in the very, very near future. This is actually similar to his Modern Renaissance Friends collection, which I have one of each piece, or more of one of each piece, that I love. It's kind of like a unlocking mechanism if you have one of each. He has, I'm not going to say promised, but to some extent promised airdrops of various stuff. If you had one of each of them, you got one of his rare Pepes. He made a fake rare Pepe the other day. Current value, 0.05 Bitcoins, which is...
pretty good.
What's that? $500? $400? $800? I don't know. It's worth something. And you just get it.
Yeah, it's like $1,000.
$1,000?
Yeah, 0.05.
Yeah. Oh, good. Well, you just get it. And anyway, this is I think it's a cool piece. I don't even necessarily know what it's showing. I talked to him and he wasn't even sure what it was showing either. We have these people playing VR poker. This guy over here in the corner, who knows what he's doing? It looks a little bit suspicious. We have these neat pieces of art in the sides. You see the Deck of Degeneracy cards here. This thing.
Some glitch art references.
Some glitch art. This is one of his Modern Renaissance friends, actually, now that I'm looking at it. That's a lot of fun.
I like it.
I think that's cool. It's called Night of Degeneracy. Actually, a few people already own this. We gave this to a few whales. Super cool. Whales. Vince Van Doe. I think he has a piece, funny enough, now that I'm sitting here.
Will sell it to me.
Yeah, there you go. And I think it's a really cool piece. What do you want to spotlight?
All right, to wrap up, I just wanted to spotlight this recent controversy that's going on around Twitter. So as you guys know...
Controversy?
It is a controversy because, well, first of all, what's not controversial is that punks are awesome, and punks were what got me into the space. This is a picture of my CryptoPunk. The controversy is the fact that now Tiffany's is creating this pendant there's 250 of them, and you have to pay 30 ETH to reserve this piece of jewelry, and it's controversial because people are saying it's a cash grab from an established company that's trying to enter the space late, and they're like, who like, I see a lot of comments on Twitter saying like, who is your NFT consultant? Fire them now. This is like not the way to do an NFT project. And it's interesting because they're going to be offering you both a digital NFT and the physical jewelry that's going to have like, they even specify how many stones it will have. So it's going to be valuable. It's going to have like gemstones, gold, all this kind of stuff. And I just wanted to maybe like talk about this a little bit for the people that are watching at home. What are our thoughts here? Is this a sharp buy? Is this something that you should avoid? Is this a rug pull? What are your thoughts, Jonathan? And then I'll share what I've been thinking.
It cannot be a quote-unquote rug pull because you will definitively get your pendant.
Sure.
And you will definitively get your NFT. There's no way in the world Tiffany's is just going to not give it to you. So you're definitely going to get that. Also, I was talking to Von Mises about this, who has a bunch of punks. He has an iconic punk that is his avatar, etc. And I was saying, I don't know where they're going to put very many diamonds on yours because it has a silver necklace, regular peak spike hair, nothing else fancy. I'm like, where are they going to put the diamonds on your thing, man? And turns out they guaranteed X amount of gemstones on each pendant.
Right.
So I don't know what gemstones are worth. They're probably not even that expensive, but at least it's something.
But it's from
right?
Tiffany's too.
And it's from Tiffany. So I think a lot of people don't realize this, but Tiffany stuff is expensive. And to get a custom thing, any custom thing, from Tiffany's is going to run you 20, 30, 40K. Like a real number.
That's fair.
A real number.
Yeah.
And
they're not just going to do commission art for you. Or
they just don't
pendants.
do commission pendants. That's exactly right. That's not a thing they do. And this is a commissioned thing. And of the CryptoPunks that exist, there are 10,000 of them, right? Are there 250 CryptoPunks out there who really feel like they're a punk or they want to wear their punk? They want to show off their punk. And I think the answer is definitively yes. Now, I've heard there are more than 250 people on the allow list, people who have announced.
It doesn't even say how to get on the allow list.
No, you got to be in the know. More than 250 people in the know, as far as I know, are on the allow list.
Yeah.
And that tells me there's at least some demand. Now, will they all pay 30 ETH? 30 ETH is a lot. Most people don't have 30 ETH. 30 ETH is what, $50,000, $40,000, something like that, give or take. And that's a lot of money. So I personally do not plan on minting one of these, but I would not be shocked at all if you can mint these for 30 ETH and you hold it for a week and they're worth 50 ETH. I would not be shocked at all. Now, I will say a problem with these is that you got to have a punk to tie it to. If they said you could have a punk or a Bored Ape or a Doodle or a whatever, then I think it would be lock of the century.
Right.
Because then there's definitely 250 people out there who have those things. So if they would do it for other projects as well on top of this, I think it'd be lock of the century. I'm a little bit scared, let's say, that they have the initial 250 and they're like, oh, let's do 250 more.
Right.
And
then
there's
there's no guarantee that they cap it at 250.
They have not said they're going to cap it. And to be fair, could I make this sweet diamond alien here or whatever thing I want to make for less than 50K? And the answer is yes, I think. I mean, you go to any random jeweler, they could probably make it for 25K, 20K, whatever. I don't even know what the number is, maybe way less. And this is where I have to go back to provenance, right? Like, is it the official Tiffany's one? Are there only 250 of them? Imagine a project that made 250 profile pictures that were very unique. What's that worth? I don't know. I know that Alpha Centauri Kid, hello again, has a profile picture project, and I think he currently has 6 or 7 of them. And they are auctioning off for 15 ETH, give or take. I got the first one for 8 ETH. I think it's the steal of the century.
Nice.
But now they're going for 15 ETH, give or take, right? And there's only 6 of those, so, and he's giving a lot of utility away with it. Now he's not giving away a pendant with it. He did send a piece of physical art in the mail, which was kind of cool, and a bunch of other stuff. He gave a Rare Pepe. Again, shout out to Rare Pepes. Gave a Rare Pepe, which is worth $1,000, right? So he's giving back value, but is it worth 30 ETH? I don't know. What's a pendant from Tiffany's worth? Is it worth 50K for a unique pendant made of a thing that you love? That's probably about fair. Plus, you get an NFT.
I think it's fair.
So that's my thoughts. Is it fair? Sure. If you're into that, I think it's great.
So at first, I'll say my thoughts here, and again, I'm just one person's viewpoint here, but at first I was a little bit weirded out by the mint price, and it did seem very corporate.
30 is a lot.
Right? It seemed like, could this be a corporate trying to come in here and take advantage of a lucrative space, and maybe they're like 6 months too late? That was like my thought. Like, are these people too late? But as I got to think more about it, I actually think we're going to look really silly debating the 30 ETH price, because of the fact that punk holders tend to have a lot of disposable income.
Especially the ones who have really good punks that are worthy of being made into a pendant.
Absolutely. And they're proud of their punks, right? They use their punks as their identity. Now, personally, I don't think I would wear the pendant because it brings a lot of attention on myself. Like, I don't want to be wearing a $50,000 piece of hardware everywhere I go. But that's different people think differently. I know that chains are really popular and people like to load up on what they're wearing. I would probably just keep this. If I owned it, I'd probably keep it in like my own personal collection at home. But I do think there's going to be at least 250 people that are really interested in this, willing to pay more than 30 ETH. And we're probably going to look silly for even talking about this later on.
I'm not going to look silly. I think it's a good buy.
I think it's a good buy.
Also, people talk about corporate cash grab. It is $12.5 million. That's actually not a lot at Tiffany's because they're selling pieces every day that are many hundreds of thousands. And that's just par for the course.
Yep.
So I've said par for the course twice on this show. Oh my God. And I don't play golf at all. But they are kind of like I did the real Las Vegas series. I think they're dipping their toe in and seeing, do people like this? Do people care? And if people like this and then people care, I think they're going to start getting in a little bit more. And it's great to see gigantic corporations like Tiffany's looking at this, right? Looking at these projects and thinking, these are the things we want to be doing. Essentially, the punks are now driving the culture of these are cool things to make.
Yep.
These are cool things to own. And I think that's good. It's only good long term.
So if we think that it's sharp, are we going to try to mint this?
My problem is I spent all my money on one-of-one art and rare Pepes recently. Like, literally, I had about 100
Is it time to load up on more ETH? And ETH is more expensive now.
I hate the fact that ETH is high. If ETH was $1,000, I would be loading up for sure.
Yeah.
The thing is I was buying ETH for $1,000 2 weeks ago or whatever it was, and now I have to pay 1.7x for the same thing. No, thank you. I'll just sit around. You know. I mean that's something. I mean that's a whole nother topic, but USD is a limited resource for most people. Me, you, everybody. And you have to make sure you time your ETH buying at least as reasonably well as you possibly can. You can dollar cost average, but I'm not even sure that's right in this
I would
space.
also say probably at least 100 of the people that are going to buy this, USD is not a limiting factor for them. They have kind of like infinite USD to spend on shit like this.
And infinite ETH. So imagine you have infinite USD, or not even infinite, but imagine you have, I don't know, let's imagine you have $100 million and you have 10,000 ETH in your account or 2,000 ETH in your account. Will you spend 30 on this? Sure. It's important to understand that money is relative. I learned this a long time ago from poker, where you'll be playing a $100,000 buy-in tournament with a bunch of good pros who care a lot, and then a few recreational players don't care at all because it's might as well be chump change is what it amounts to. It's like the few extra dollars in your pocket. It's like whatever, you know, because they have a ton of money. Money is not a limiting factor to some people. And for those people, this is a no-brainer buy. I mean, if I had infinite money, I would definitely buy this. I mean, why wouldn't I?
Yep.
Because
there you go.
It's cool.
So if you can get allow listed for this, go for it.
I think it's going to sell out really quickly. I think it mints on August 5th. This will be out before then. So my prediction is it mints out in like a minute. Unless the allow list somehow is 250 or fewer and they give them like plenty of time and then they have like a day or whatever. I bet it'll mint out before the allow list is done, and if it doesn't, I bet it'll go really, really quick. And if they give people a time to trade these, which I think they will, I think, assuming they do the allow list price correctly, meaning not giving it to bots and whatnot, I think these things will probably go for more than 30.
I agree.
For at least a while until they start the redemption period. And then, whoever wants it will actually make good use of it.
We'll see.
You have anything else you want to say? This has been... I thought it was going to be 30 minutes long. We're here to an hour and a half. Oh, my God.
Oh, my God.
What have you done to us?
What I would say is we want this show to reflect your interests. So this is our first agenda, but please comment. What do you want to hear us talk about? We have a lot of interesting insights from being in the space for over a year.
A long time.
Which is ancient history in NFT world. How can we talk about things? What kind of guests do you want to see on this show that would bring value to your life and help to round out your knowledge of NFTs? We're here for you.
Thank you for being here. Have fun. Click like, click subscribe. Check out deckofdegeneracy.com. You like Deck of Degeneracy? You have any pieces?
I'm a top 5 holder.
Okay, so good. Johnny has some Deck of Degeneracy, and it must be sharp then.
He told me to buy them, so I just bought all of them.
Before we end, I told you to buy for 0.1. You bought
said it
all
was
for
free.
0.1. I said it was free as free could be. It's 0.35 now or 0.37 or whatever. You got some airdrops, I presume.
I got a ton of airdrops. I'm doing great. It was a great buy.
All we try to do is add value, and that's what we're doing with this show. Enjoy it. Have fun. Good luck. We'll talk to you next time.